Her name was Nak, 20 years old, pregnant, deeply in love. Her husband was taken by the army. She died alone, baby still inside her body. That happened 150 years ago, but today, thousands visit her shrine daily. They pray for love, for protection from military service. They light incense, leave flowers, whisper prayers to a ghost. This is how a dead woman became eternal. Why has Thailand never let her go? This is the story of May Nak Pra Kanong, May Nak Pra Kanong, Thailand's most famous ghost, a legend that refuses to die. Love, death, and obsession, war, childbirth, and loss. A story told 32 times across a century, and underneath it all, something deeper, something political, something about power. Let's begin. Our story begins in the 1870s, Phra Kanong district, Bangkok, along the canals. Thailand was still called Siam then, the Rattanakosin period. Life moved with the rhythm of water and rice fields. This was a world of wooden houses built on stilts, Buddhist temples, and spirit shrines. A world where the supernatural wasn't questioned. It was simply part of reality. Here lived a young couple, Nak and Mak. Nak and Mak were like any young couple in love. They lived in a small wooden house beside the canal. Nak cooked, Mak fished. Their life was simple, ordinary, and happy. Then Nak discovered she was pregnant. Their joy was complete. They prayed at the temple, made offerings to spirits. They prepared for their child with hope and excitement. Everything seemed perfect. But in 1870s Siam, perfection was fragile. The kingdom was at war. The army needed men. Conscription was brutal and random. Villages received quotas. Send this many men or face punishment. No exceptions, no negotiations. One morning, the notice came. Mak's name appeared on the list. He had to leave, had to march north with other conscripted soldiers to fight in the Shan states. Border conflicts that seemed endless, wars that consumed young men. Mak promised Nak he would return before the baby came, promised everything would be all right. But promises mean nothing to fate. As marched away with the other soldiers, Nak stood in their doorway, watching him disappear down the canal path. She was 6 months pregnant, alone in a world with no mercy for women in her position. No telegram system existed, no postal service reached Phra Kanong. Once Mak left, Nak had no way to reach him, no way to tell him if something went wrong. She could only wait and hope and pray that he would come home safely, that they would be a family again. But fate had different plans. Months passed. Mak sent no word. Communication was impossible. The war dragged on. Nak's belly grew larger. She prepared for childbirth alone, relying on neighbors who tried to help. But she felt it. Something was wrong. The baby wasn't moving correctly, wasn't positioned right. Nak knew enough about childbirth to understand the danger. When her time came, she labored through a storm. Rain hammered the roof. Canal water rose. Neighbors gathered, tried to help. The baby wouldn't turn. Breech birth, feet first instead of head first. In 1870s Thailand, this was a death sentence. No hospitals existed in Phra Kanong, no trained doctors. Just neighbors with traditional knowledge doing their best, and prayers that went unanswered. Nok labored for hours, then days. The pain became unbearable. Finally, she died, as she had lived those final months, alone. The baby died with her, still inside her body. In Thai belief, this makes her Pi Tai Hung, Pi Tai Hung, a spirit of violent, untimely death, the most dangerous kind. Because when death comes suddenly, without warning, without preparation, the spirit cannot move forward. It becomes trapped, angry, desperate. Villagers buried Nak and her baby in the forest behind Wat Mahabut, the Buddhist temple. It was a quiet funeral. Poor families couldn't afford elaborate ceremonies, just monks chanting sutras, neighbors paying respects. They buried her according to tradition, wrapped in white cloth, offerings of flowers and incense, prayers for her spirit to find peace. But everyone knew, Phi Tai Hong rarely find peace. Women who die in childbirth occupy a special category in Thai spiritual taxonomy. They die in the ultimate moment of creation, bringing life into the world. When that process kills them instead, the spiritual disruption is profound. The trauma imprints itself on the location, on the time, on the very air. Neighbors whispered. Some claimed they heard crying from the forest at night. Others saw strange lights near Nak's grave. But these were just rumors, probably nothing. Meanwhile, far away in the Shan states, Mak knew nothing. He was still fighting, still believing his wife and child waited for him at home, still counting days until he could return. He had no idea he was already a widower, that his child was already dead, that his entire life had already ended. Why does a spirit stay? Thai belief provides clear answers. Unfinished business, unfulfilled attachments, desires so strong that death cannot sever them. Nak died without seeing Mak again, without saying goodbye, without fulfilling her role as wife and mother. In Thai cosmology, such attachments create spiritual bonds stronger than death itself. Nak's love wouldn't let her go. After months of fighting, Mak finally received discharge papers. The war hadn't ended, but he'd served his time. He could go home. He walked for days, down from the mountains, through forests, along canals, thinking only of Nak, wondering if the baby had come, boy or girl, healthy. Would Nak forgive him for missing the birth? It was dusk when he reached Phra Kanong, walked down the familiar canal path toward their house. He stopped. There was light in the windows, smoke rising from the cooking fire. His heart surged. He ran. The door opened. There she was, Nak, smiling, holding a baby in her arms. Mak wept with joy, held her, held the child, couldn't believe his fortune. Everything was perfect, better than perfect. His family was whole. That night they ate together. Nak prepared his favorite dishes, spicy sum tam papaya salad, grilled fish from the canal, sticky rice. Everything tasted exactly as he remembered. The baby was healthy, beautiful. Nock said it had been a boy, just as Mac had hoped. They talked late into the night. Mac told stories from the war. Nock described the birth. Easy, she said. No problems. The neighbors helped. Everything seemed exactly as it should be. Mac fell asleep, holding his wife, his child nearby, feeling blessed beyond measure. But outside, neighbors watched from windows, terrified, because they knew the truth. They had buried Nock months ago, attended her funeral, prayed at her grave. What Mac was holding wasn't his wife. It was her ghost. The next morning, an old neighbor took Mac aside. "Your wife died during childbirth. Months ago, we buried her. What you're living with, that's not human." Mac's anger was instant. How dare anyone speak such evil about Nock, about his wife? He shouted at the neighbor, threatened him, told him never to come near their house again. That night, the neighbor drowned in the canal. Strange, people whispered. He was an excellent swimmer, knew those waters his entire life. Other villagers tried to warn Mac. They approached carefully, gently, tried to show him the truth. They all met mysterious ends. One fell from his house and broke his neck. Another died suddenly from illness, healthy one day, dead the next. A third drowned, just like the first. Nock protected her illusion violently. She would not lose Mac again. Not to death, not to truth, not to anyone. And Mac began to notice things. The way Nock never ate, only watched him eat. The way she cast no reflection in the canal water. Small wrongnesses his mind tried to explain away. Because love makes us blind, even to the truth of death. It happened on an ordinary evening. Nock was making nam prick chili paste, traditional dish. She pounded ingredients in a wooden mortar. Chilies, garlic, shrimp paste. Mac watched from the doorway, trying to convince himself everything was normal. Then a lime rolled off the table, fell through a gap in the floorboards. Houses were built on stilts, raised above ground. The lime dropped down to the earth below, without hesitation, without standing up. Nock reached down, her arms stretched longer and longer, through the gap in the floor, down through the space beneath the house, down to the ground below, impossibly long. Her fingers wrapped around the lime, picked it up. Her arm retracted, bringing the lime back up through the floor. Nock continued making nam prick, as if nothing unusual had happened. Mac saw everything. In that moment, he finally understood. The woman he was living with, the woman he loved, was dead, had been dead all along. Everything neighbors tried to tell him, everything he'd refused to believe, all true. He was living with a ghost. His mind screamed. His body froze. Knock looked up, saw his face, knew that he knew. Mok ran through darkness toward Wat Mahabut, the temple, only place spirits cannot enter, sacred ground. Behind him, Knock called his name, not angry, pleading, desperate. Mok, where are you going? Come back, please. Her voice broke his heart, but he kept running. He knew the stories, knew what Phi Tai Hong could do. He dove into a grove of banana plants, wide-leafed Nam Tao trees. In Thai belief, ghosts fear these plants. Something about the leaves, the spiritual properties. Knox stopped at the grove's edge. She couldn't enter, couldn't reach him through the protective plants. She stood there crying, calling his name, begging him to come back. Mok hid among the leaves, shaking, weeping, listening to his dead wife's voice, until dawn came. Mok reached the temple at sunrise. Monks took him in, promised protection. Sacred ground would keep him safe. Outside, Nok's grief transformed into rage. She terrorized Phra Kanong, appeared in homes at night, manifested on canal boats, screamed into the darkness. People who had tried to help Mok, people who had revealed the truth, she haunted them relentlessly. The entire district lived in fear. Finally, villagers begged for help. It came in the form of Somdet Praputachan To, Somdet Praputachan To, one of Thailand's most revered monks, a spiritual master with power over spirits. The monk performed rituals, chanted sacred sutras, confronted Nok's spirit directly. Stories differ about what happened next. Some say he captured her spirit in an earthen pot sealed with sacred clay. Others say he reasoned with her, helped her understand she had to let Mok go. Either way, the haunting ended. Nok's spirit found peace, or was forced into it. Phra Kanong returned to normal, and Mok, he left, became a monk himself, some versions say, spent his life in meditation and prayer. He had lost his wife twice, once to death, once to truth. That should be the end. A tragedy from 150 years ago, told and retold, gradually fading into history. But it's not the end, because today, right now, thousands still come to Mae Nok's shrine. They pray, offer gifts, believe. They ask her for help. And somehow, she still answers. The legend refuses to die, just like Mae Nok herself. Welcome to Wat Mahabut, modern Bangkok. Mae Nok's shrine sits behind the main temple. It's never empty. Every day, weekdays, weekends, morning to night, people come. Young couples asking for lasting love, pregnant women praying for safe births, parents leaving toys for Mae Nok's baby, hoping she'll bless their children. Look closer at the offerings. Those are military conscription cards, photos of young men in uniform. The most common prayer? Mae Nok, help him avoid the draft. Don't let him be taken like Mok was taken from you. Thailand still has mandatory military service. Every young man must participate in a lottery. Draw the wrong card, serve 2 years. Families pray to May Nok for protection. And those? Lottery tickets. People believe May Nok can provide lucky numbers, can influence chance, can change fate. Others ask for help finding husbands, getting pregnant, protecting families from harm. The shrine is covered in Thai silk dresses, beautiful traditional clothing, cosmetics, perfume, flowers, all gifts for a woman who died 150 years ago. But she's treated like she's still here, still present, still listening. Why? Some might dismiss this as superstition, but watch the faces of the people praying. These aren't fools. They're seeking connection with something larger than themselves, a story of love and loss they understand. May Nok represents universal human experiences, the pain of losing someone too soon, the unfairness of death, the wish that love could be strong enough to overcome it. Every culture has stories like this. Thailand has simply kept May Nok alive for 150 years. Maybe it's because her story isn't really about ghosts. It's about everything that still hurts. War taking loved ones, women dying in childbirth, families torn apart by forces beyond their control. These problems haven't disappeared. Military conscription continues. Maternal mortality still occurs. Separation and loss remain part of human experience. So May Nok remains relevant. She embodies fears that persist across generations, gives form to anxieties that have no other outlet. When mothers pray for their pregnant daughters, they're not just praying to a ghost. They're praying to the memory of every woman who died bringing life into the world. When families pray for sons to avoid military service, they're channeling centuries of grief, all the families torn apart by war. May Nok absorbs these prayers, these fears, these hopes. She becomes timeless. But May Nak isn't just alive at this shrine. She's alive in Thai culture everywhere. Her story has been made into over 30 films, from silent movies in 1927 to massive blockbusters today. In 1999, a May Nak film broke box office records, became the highest-grossing Thai film of that year. In 2013, a comedy version where ghost and human live happily together became the highest-grossing Thai film of all time. Over 1 billion baht in revenue. Think about that. The same story told 32 times across almost a century. Each generation remaking May Nak to fit their world. Each version reveals something about Thailand, what they fear, what they hope for, what they cannot let go of. May Nak has become more than a legend. She's a mirror. So that's the story of May Nok. Love that survived death. Legend that survived 150 years. A shrine visited by thousands. 32 films, 1 billion baht. But here's the thing. What if parts of this story aren't true? May Nok has a direct descendant, someone who carries her bloodline. And according to this descendant, certain facts have been preserved through family knowledge. The truth? May Nok was buried. She loved faithfully, pure, devoted love. She had a child, and there were treasures, gold and money buried with her. Those parts are real. But other parts, the violence, the hauntings, the terror, what's true and what's fiction? That revelation will come from the descendant in time. For now, let's explore what this legend really means to Thailand. Because May Nok's story, it's never been just about ghosts.
And that's the end of another otherworldly story. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to not miss a thing. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, stay curious and keep an eye on the shadows.